As long as there is a single breath in his body, he will not give up, and neither can we.
The Matrix Revolutions. Yes, we are finally here. The final film of the original Matrix trilogy before Matrix Resurrections. Before I get into it, this is going to be full of spoilers. You have been warned. If you saw my review of Matrix Reloaded, you know that I enjoy that film. I think there are things that actually age pretty well that I get when people first saw it in 2003, that they're a little confused. And sort of like, what the hell? And I'm pretty sure Reloaded must have rubbed some people the wrong way because the opening weekend for Revolutions took a major dip compared to Reloaded. Now, that could have been because Reloaded came out in the summer and Revolutions came out in November, but still, it was almost a 50% drop, which is pretty crazy. And once again with Reloaded, I'm going to look at this film as a film all the years later, no more hype around it. It's just the third film in a trilogy. And what do I think about Revolutions? The first thing I want to say that this is not going to be a review to bash Revolutions because I actually enjoy Revolutions. I do think it is the worst out of the three and it has some major issues. But overall, as a story, I think it wrapped up some things pretty well. There are too many good and interesting and unique ideas in here that say that this is a bad film. Now, I get everyone's issues with it because we can get into that now. There are major issues with Matrix Revolutions. First, with the symbolism. In Reloaded, there was some, and there are some hidden messages that I think really work. In Revolutions, there are some like that. But a lot of the messages and symbolism in Revolutions is not subtle at all. It's so in your face, and it doesn't really take much for you to understand what they're trying to do. Like, oh, I wonder who the Merovingian's supposed to be. Oh, I wonder what this is supposed to mean. Gee, I have no idea. It's just so in your face and not subtle at all that it becomes distracting and somewhat annoying. I do like overall how the story wraps up here, but as a movie, this is structured so weirdly and it's paced so poorly for an action Matrix film that sometimes a film can be really boring, and I think that has to do with how the story's structured. There is a big part of this film that takes place at Zion. The Sentinels and the machines have found Zion and they're going to attack and kill everyone. Results in this big CGI fight where the humans are in these robot machines that remind me of the machines from Avatar, but Avatar improved like the technicality of the machines because it's really fucking stupid. They are not covered in any armor in front of them. I mean, that's how that one dude gets killed. He just gets shredded by the machines. I mean, why would they just be open like that? That just never made any sense to me. There are some exciting parts, but overall, it's not that interesting of a sequence because it's filled with so many characters that you really just don't care about. You care about Morpheus and a few others, but the rest are just so throwaway, you don't really care about them. You care about more of the situation, that Zion itself is about to be destroyed. That's the exciting part. But like I said, it's filled with so many throwaway characters that have interesting lines that they have to give that come off as really corny, that there's not as much tension as you would think. And during this whole entire sequence, Neo is nowhere to be found. There's like a huge chunk of this film where Neo and Trinity are completely gone. They're on a ship, they're about to go to the source, and they are gone from the film. I don't know the exact timing, but it felt like most of the movie. This is where I feel like they could have improved on how the story was told, the structure of the film, and made the movie overall better. Because I feel like you have this story with Neo and Trinity going to the source, you have Zion and are attacked. They show all of this, and then they show all of this, and it feels like two separate movies. I don't know why they couldn't have just like blended those things together to where you're invested in both parts of those stories, and it keeps the film moving. Paced really well. If they could have pulled something like that off, it would have been something like Return of the Jedi, where you have three different things going on. You got Luke, Vader, and the Emperor talking to each other. You've got everyone on Endor. You have the big space battle. But it's all blended together well that you're interested in each of those stories, but you're still interested in the overall film. With Matrix Revolutions, with these two things just completely separate from each other, it feels like you're watching two different films, and you're not that interested in the Zion battle, and then even the stuff with Neo you get less interested in. I don't know what they were thinking there. Something I think if they would have improved on would have made the film overall better. But we'll talk about Neo and Trinity now. They first had to deal with that human Agent Smith, which, by the way, I thought the actor in that was great. That was a great Agent Smith impression.
Mr. Anderson, I see you are as predictable in this world as you are in the other, filling every breath a suffocating cloud you can't escape.
Then Trinity dies, and then Neo is blind. And Neo being blind for most of the film, I always had mixed feelings about. I think it's really cool that you get the idea of how he's connected with the source. He sees all the machines. That's pretty cool. But in a way, when your character is blindfolded throughout most of the film, and like I said, not really in the film that much, you kind of lose a connection to your hero. But ultimately, Neo strikes a deal with the source. Basically, Agent Smith is a virus. He's completely taken over the Matrix. The Matrix is going to be destroyed. Neo bargains with the source and says, hey, if I stop Agent Smith, there's got to be peace. Because the normal cycle is Zion gets destroyed, the one goes and resets the Matrix gets reset, and then they free a bunch of other humans, and then they form their own Zion, and then there's another one, and then the Matrix gets reset again. This time, there'd be peace. The Zion wouldn't get destroyed, Neo stops Agent Smith, all is well. So they strike the deal, and I always like the fight with Neo and Agent Smith. It's not much CGI compared to the brawl in Reloaded, and it feels really intense. It feels really epic. Love the music here. Feels like it's all coming down to this. Love when Neo realizes that the Oracle is still inside Agent Smith and ultimately has to sacrifice himself. By Smith taking over his body, he's connected to the source, and then the source can take out Agent Smith, but also takes out Neo too. Neo sacrifices himself, and the music that plays when he sacrifices himself is like the most epic sacrifice music ever. If you've never seen the movie and you just listen to that soundtrack, you're thinking like, oh, someone just sacrificed himself to save the fucking world. I love that soundtrack. With that happening, the source decides not to destroy Zion. Those people are free, and the Matrix gets reset again, and this time it's the 7th version. And I'll say this, I get at the time in 2003 why people probably thought this ending was really fucking stupid, or they're pissed off. But I gotta say, I think it's great. I think it's a great way to end this story. You would think after watching the original Matrix that you would have an idea how this trilogy would end. Neo would save the world, stop the machines, and mankind would be free. But that's not what happens. And I love how the Wachowskis tell the story how they want to tell it. It's not like they're giving it an ending that's so different that they just had to be different and be like, no, this is not how things typically go. We're just going to be different to be different and make a really stupid ending. I think this is a really unique ending. I think it's interesting and it fits really well with the story. And I think it is a satisfying way to end this trilogy considering how everything is played out. Neo has saved Zion. Those humans are free. And now people can choose to leave the Matrix when they want and there is some sort of peace. But the Matrix still exists. The machines still have full reign on the world. It's an ending that feels real. Feels like that's what would happen. And I appreciate them for going that route. For not falling into what fans wanted, to not falling to what a studio would say, telling the story how they want to tell it, and I thought it was a satisfying way to tell the story. Yes, The Matrix Revolutions has a lot of issues, specifically with the story structure and some of the symbolism, some of the acting, some of the lines of dialogue are really cheesy. But overall, I am happy how things concluded in this trilogy. I don't think this is a terrible movie at all. It's definitely disappointing in a way. But I think how everything wrapped up was satisfying, unique, and different. And I'm glad the Wachowskis told the story the way they wanted to tell it. I'll give The Matrix Revolutions 6.5 Davy Daves. I think like Reloaded, this film aged pretty well. Considering the reviews for this film, I was looking at them like, geez, it wasn't that bad. I get people were expecting something completely different, but still. Now we have Matrix Resurrections. And at first I was kind of concerned because there wasn't much marketing for it, but lately there's been a lot of commercials and teasers for it, and I honestly have no idea what this film's going to be about. My only concern is I hope it's just not a reboot, literally a reboot of the first Matrix, like plot for plot, same exact thing, kind of like The Force Awakens. I hope that there's some beats to it that are similar because I feel like that's what they have to do. But I hope it's a completely different film that's just going to throw us off guard. And I have a feeling it's going to be. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm maybe going to eat my words for that, but I'm still excited for Matrix 4. But we'll see. But for Matrix Revolutions, let me know what you guys thought of it, where it ranks in the trilogy, what you guys thought of the film. Let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.